Ladies and gentlemen, whether you like it or not, Hedwig!
I put on some makeup, some Laverne Baker, and pull the wig down from the shelf.
Fuck you all, I'm going to Guam. But first, we are back with Hedwig, Inch by Angry Inch, the podcast where we analyse and tear down the walls surrounding the movie masterpiece that is Hedwig and the Angry Inch, chapter by chapter. I am your regular host, who you're all fucking sick of hearing by now, I'm sure, after 17 episodes, John. Hello everybody. And once again, I am joined by two ultra amazing, super, very, very, very special guests. First up, we have, do I hesitate to call you a local legend? You're a worldwide legend, Pretentious Dross.
Hello, pretentious by name and by nature.
Well, I think that might be worldwide legend, but locally based. It's a nice dual thing, right?
Indeed. And that other voice you can hear is the one, the only, the other worldwide legend, Craig MacNeil.
Well, hello. Thank you so much, and I'm so happy to be on this show. Thank you for asking me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, well, I think, what was it on? It was on something on YouTube, and You were talking, and I'm sure in the background you had a Hedwig poster.
Yes, that's right. So behind me right now, actually, I have 5 posters going in this order. Body Double, Hedwig and the Angry Inch, or Hedwig. It was funny because when I taped with John Cameron Mitchell, and I actually didn't say Hedwig after years of saying it properly, but then I saw an interview with Steven where he flips back and forth, and I thought, it's okay.
You can say it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And then following that is Tommy, and then To Live and Die in L.A., and then Jabriath A.D., which is a fabulous film I have to recommend to anyone who hasn't seen it. It's about the first openly gay, I would say rock star in quotes, because his career kind of took an immediate tumble, but it's a fascinating story and a really wonderful film.
I have not seen that.
Oh, you'd like it. Unfortunately, I think it kind of got overlooked a little bit. It came out the year that Searching for Sugarman came out, and I don't know why it's still overlooked, but I'm always trying to mention it to get it a little bit more attention.
Well, it's going on my list.
Oh, terrific.
Yeah. What a way to start with a recommendation of a film. That's amazing. But one I have not seen.
Oh, and I love that you saw the poster in the thing. I'm always happy to have that featured.
Well, that's what tipped me off, because I was like, you know what? They might actually want to come on the show. There's a poster right behind them.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, happily.
And Dross, I will call you for short. What is your connection to the film? And I believe you are a fan.
I am a fan. For me, it was kind of one of those films that I watched at the same time as I was watching things like Velvet Goldmine, that kind of period of films that were really kind of like part of my like queer awakening, I guess you could say, in terms of kind of like that complete kind of raw and beautiful kind of unabashedly queer celebration of life. And I was kind of really drawn into it, also in terms of kind of the reference points in there for Iggy and Bowie, you know, all of that kind of just really kind of struck a chord for me at the time when it was released. And have continued to watch it because I think it's a really beautiful reminder, for me at least, about that our lives don't really fall really easily into nice, neat little boxes. Yes. And what kind of that our what we kind of see as ourselves or as identity is kind of like this kind of malleable thing that just kind of floats over the chaos, and you just kind of have to roll with it. And that's kind of like, you know, like, and that is to me what the film is really about and why I really love it. You know, it's that's at the heart of it for me.
I totally get that as well. Yeah.
And I think that also speaks to the Rorschach test ness, if you will, to coin a bad phrase, that the film is, because I think you can look at it in so many ways, like you mentioned, Dross, the identity being malleable. And I'm sure all the different guests you've had on here have had their own personalized take, because you really are putting a lot of your own life and feelings into your interpretation of the movie.
Exactly. Every single guest I've had on has had their own very unique and personal attachment to the film.
Sure.
Even people who've only seen it a few times, because I've watched it a stupid amount of times. Like, as they're all sick of me saying, I once watched it every day for a month.
Wow, that's really impressive.
It is.
I didn't have a lot going on that month, you know.
Yes, you did. You had a lot of film. Now, what time of day would you watch it? Would it change? Would it vary, or was it like it's lunchtime? I'm going to watch this,
It
etc.
was usually the evening because I had a very weird upbringing where at one point when I was a teenager, I had to completely leave my family and go and live in another country, which was England, where I am now. And I was on my own, basically, in a shithole, going to a school I hated with fucking wankers.
Yeah.
And that was my escape each evening, was like, right, okay, I've survived the day. What am I going to do for fun? I'm going to watch this movie again that my friend has given me.
Right.
I was recommended it by a friend. I was recommended this and Cecil B. Demented. They were like, go and watch these two movies.
Yeah.
I think I might worry if you watch Cecil B. Demented every day for a month. But
Hey, I love that movie.
I'm not knocking it, but I'm thinking about the amount of hours you would have clocked just watching the title sequence.
Yeah. Hey, I know a lot of people who don't like the movie, and I'm offended that they don't like. If you're one of those people out there listening, fuck you.
Yeah, you don't need that shit. You're going to Guam.
I'm going to Guam, baby. And in fact, once at Eat Me and Preach, the night that Pretentious Dross is very heavily involved in here in Liverpool, I went dressed as Alicia Witt's character from Cecil B. Demented, and she shared the tweet of me in the outfit. So that made my life.
How lovely. Yeah. That's fast.
It's interesting you say, John, about you kind of like it was Hedwig was recommended to you. It seems like it's kind of passed to person, like a mantle. It's like, you need to watch this film. You need to watch this film. It just kind of spreads. You know, it's one of those.
Nobody discovers it on their own. It's like The Ring.
Yeah, I know. And one of my favorite things is turning people onto it. And I noticed also it really is a test of the person's intellect, because I did show it to one person who was kind of a jerk about it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, you're a shitty person." It actually turned out to be true. Like, I normally don't like those kind of things. Like, oh, you have to like this stuff to be my friend. I'm not into that at all. It really like shone a Klieg light on the shallowness and terribleness of this person.
What didn't they like about it specifically?
They just it's hard to say. It was they kind of acted like it was a little bit boring, and then I was like, well, that's not, it was a lot of things. Thankfully I've sort of scrubbed that evening out of my mind, but pretty much everyone else I've shown it to, including my mom, I took her to see it in the theater because I had originally read about Hedwig in Rolling Stone when it was at Jane Street, and was fascinated by it, because it just looked like everything I would like. And of course, at the time, there was no way I was going to be able to go to New York to see it. But then when I saw that it was coming out as a movie, I was so excited. And at the time, I lived in Massachusetts, and there's a theater in Massachusetts that's one of those half art house, half like big blockbuster chains, Landmark Cinemas, they're called.
Okay.
Yeah, so they'd have like, whatever, Planet of the Apes or Minority Report and Hedwig and the Angry Inch and like stuff like a mixture of that. And I saw it so many times there that they saved all the promo gear for me, which was really nice. And including the T-shirt, the one that has the like the makeup face thing on it.
That's amazing. I'm so jealous.
Yeah, I know. It's it's one of my favorite shirts of all time. And so one of the times I went to the theater, I took my mom, and she got it. She really loved it as well.
I think it's just it speaks to everyone on a different level, doesn't it? I think, and I don't think it really matters who you are. It like you were saying, Craig. It's just about people, it's about being alive.
No, absolutely. And I think also about like regrets or dealing with your past issues. I'm trying to say that as vaguely as possible, because that can apply to so many things.
Sure.
But that's what's so good about it. Like, I've mentioned this on the show again. People are probably sick of me saying it, but, this appeals to everyone. It appeals to gay people, straight people, bi people, trans people.
Sure.
Gender fluid people, like every cis people, everyone I show it to, except my sister who didn't like it, has something to enjoy here in this film. And that's what's wonderful. You can get so much out of it.
Yeah, and like you said, Dross, about the identity being malleable as presented in the film, there's also an aspect to it, I think, of, because one of the things I've always taken from it is that, like, to compromise yourself in a way that is antithetical to your core values is ultimately destructive and will turn you into the thing that you don't want to be. And that's, one of the many layers of the cake, but.
And I think that speaks really like the relationship between Hedwig and Yitzhak as well, and it's to kind of move onto the, like, I don't want to move as long, but onto the scene, that relationship between,
exactly.
Relationship between the two of them, and how the relationship between Tommy and Hedwig is almost like a mirror of Hedwig and Yitzhak. And then you kind of have, but they are the thing to each other that they both dislike about each other, or they've done the thing to each other, as in Hedwig is to Tommy as Tommy is to her, is to Yitzhak. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, one is taking away the other's dreams, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Hedwig's perpetuating it probably without even realizing.
Right.
They are controlling Yitzhak and telling them everything they're going to do. It's kind of like, you're my slave, you will do my bidding.
Yeah,
but I don't think they mean it in a harsh way. They're not like, I'm going to fuck this person over.
No, to me, it's more about that kind of. It's about that scene. To me, it's about, like when you're in a relationship with somebody and you absolutely love the absolute fucking core of that person, but also that relationship is fundamentally damaged, like degrading.
Yes.
But you still love them, and it's that kind of like, I am tired, but I love you, but I am tired. And why are we doing this?
Yep.
And where are we going to go from here? Kind of
that
like
is these two 100%.
Yeah.
Like I think they do love each other, but should they be together? Probably not.
Right. No, totally. And there's an element of the abused becomes the abuser as well.
Yes.
With that, and because of all the abuse that Hedwig has suffered in her life, and not knowing sort of any other pathway, and even not being conscious of it.
Yeah. Nope, she doesn't know she's doing it. That's the thing. That's what's so heartbreaking. And she has to come to that realization, like, oh, I've been a shitty person too.
Yeah.
Which is what makes the character so interesting, really. Like, she's our heroine, but she's not just good for 100% of the movie. It's not realistic.
No, right.
We want real people, real characters, This is someone we can relate to.
Right. And then, so, of course, during the midnight radio sequence, when, she sort of blesses Yitzhak with the wig, and sort of like is saying, you are free to sort of be yourself. It's even more powerful.
Well, as we actually start this scene we were talking about there, and Hedwig is at the window looking like a forlorn writer trying to pen their memoir.
Yeah.
We go inside and they look troubled. And I thought, has she kind of seen herself thinking about the moment that was in the previous scene, which is when her and Tommy kiss and they break up, he runs away and things like that. Is that what she's actually thinking about in this moment? The past, the being left, the pulling away? Because she looks very sad and also kind of angry, like pissed off.
Yeah, I think that moment for her is that moment of... she's in the belly of the beast, isn't she? Do you know, at that moment, if you're thinking about kind of like that journey that a lot of writers kind of use, and you kind of have like that descend into the belly of the beast, that moment of darkness. I think that's kind of that moment where she's not kind of quite yet realized that she's, in order to deal with with her own shit, she's got to forgive other people and also kind of deal with how she is. That relationship with Yitzhak as well, and that's, I think that's kind of for me, that's what's going on in her head. And also she's drawing a really beautiful picture of Tommy.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. And also that picture, it's funny you mentioned that, because that's exactly what I was thinking of. And which to me speaks to the obsession that is just at full tilt. and there's this grimness of this tour under the other tour that's going on and going on. And anyone who's ever been in a situation that's just grinding on and on, whether it's a job you're working too many hours or a terrible tour, of which I've been on, and there's just this inescapable dread and horribleness. And also, at the same time, the manager, Andrew Martin, is talking about how they're totally broke, they're totally busted. And they're in New York, which you already know, it's like, that's not the place you want to be when you have no money.
You're broke.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I get the vibe, having never been there. I understand New York is probably very expensive.
Yes.
That's what I get. Yeah, like London here.
Oh, no, exactly. And especially if you're far away from home and you're in that spot, that's bad. And also, I like the makeup design and the wig design for that scene is so specific to that scene because she really looks roughed up.
It's really it's completely distinct, isn't it, from every other kind of version of Hedwig that we see. Kind of, it's she looks really stripped back.
Right.
Yeah. I suppose this is her off stage. She's not the glam rocker. This is just her chilling out, right? You know, doing some doodles.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, she always looks beautiful. Let's be honest.
Well, she does, but she looks particularly pressed. You know what I mean? Like it's the mood on John's face is reflected in everything that Mike Potter did, I think, on the design. And I also love, as I do throughout the whole film, the production design, because in the midst of all of this, or rather surrounding all of this, are these very dreamlike pinks and oranges. It's a very surreal thing. And then the guy with the big pizza shirt, like behind. There's a lot going on. Yeah.
This pizza guy who turns up is my hero. Before I get to him, though, there's one thing I noticed as well with the drawing, just before we started recording, actually. I'd never noticed it before, was that this is clearly not just Hedwig's sketchbook or anything like that. This is clearly their to-do list and diary, because it says very explicitly on the left here, call Phyllis.
Oh, right. That's right. Yeah.
So this is what I do with my to-do lists. I'm like, I start out, let's keep it neat. And I write physical to-do lists. I'm a tech person. I like my technology, but I find a physical to-do list very useful. Sure. But after about an hour of having it, I just start drawing shit on it. That's me.
Yeah. I do both. I have the list on my phone, but then if I have immediate tasks that I have to do, particularly if I'm editing a couple things, I'm like, all right, wait, what am I doing? So I write it down on this sort of, just like a piece of printer paper, and it's in front of me. And then, of course, little notes that mean nothing later on are added, little grocery items, and then, doodles. Yeah. Yeah.
And you forget what they all mean when you look at them again.
Yeah, no, right, exactly.
Free-floating signifiers.
Yes. Like I have one here that just says, right in front of me, a post-it, edit. And it's like, well, which... I kind of technically host 4 podcasts. Which one am I editing? I don't fucking know.
I like that. You've made it simple and powerful and sort of... it applies to everything and nothing at the same time.
Just edit everything. Everything in life. Edit yourself.
Those little details, like you've noticed, like ring Phyllis in the diary, and then like in it's in another scene, but those little nuggets that are just left in the set design. I noticed it when I was rewatching it yesterday. Underneath Hedwig's childhood photo, in one of she kind of moves across. Like a sideboard, and underneath her photo there's a book that's what's the name?
I know.
On the Edge of Awareness, I think it's called.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that, because nobody I spoke to had ever noticed it.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So I was like, and then when I saw it, I was like, oh, I'm going to Google what that book is, and the book, like the chapters of the books are like, there's one on defining oneself, defining oneself in relation to others, defining oneself in relation to a search for meaning in your life, and it's kind of like, and it's like, oh my god, that is literally, it's just there, right there in the
it's totally relevant. Yeah. And I'm sure when I mentioned that to Mike Potter, because he was on that episode, I think he was like, oh, I didn't even know. Why would he know? Why would he? He's busy.
Right, exactly. He's getting the liners done. He's getting yeah.
But no, that's all great. But this pizza guy, as we mentioned, the pizza guy turns up, knock knock, and Schlacko, as he's called here, is one hungry dude. Hallelujah, he says. You know, and pizza's my religion, so I understand totally.
Oh, really? What's your favorite pizza?
Well, I am a vegetarian, so you know that does limit my options quite a lot.
Sure.
So,
although now the vegan options that are available, they're coming up with all kinds of combinations for toppings and crusts as well, and all sorts of things. Yeah.
I don't want to sound like I'm sponsored. I promise you, I'm not sponsored. But there's a pizza company here called One Planet Pizza, and it's all vegan.
Oh,
they're fucking amazing.
Oh, that's good to know.
If people have not had them, go and get them. They do, and they're not just boring. Like, oh, it's like fake cheese. Like you even get, controversially, you get your Hawaiian pizza.
Oh yeah, that is a hot topic. People get very upset about that.
They do. Whereas I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
Pineapple is firmly allowed on my base.
Yeah. And especially
Absolutely.
even when I ate meat, you know, and I liked the ham element, I think pineapple goes well with meat. You know, you get a lot of Chinese dishes that do that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, you get pork and pineapple and things like that. People are weird. Fuck it. Eat your Hawaiian pizza or shut up.
Yeah, exactly. And as we all know, consuming a lot of pineapple is advantageous in certain ways.
It's good for you in certain areas.
Yes. Allegedly so. I mean,
I have a
can't
further
confirm
question.
or deny.
We won't have to go on record with any results of that, but just, studies do show. I have a question about the pizza guy. Do you think that he sees the desperation in the room at the end and just sort of leaves the pizza? We don't hear of any money being exchanged.
No, I think he's kind of like.
Yeah, right.
I tell you what, though, I will credit his, his staying power, because he decides to hang around waiting for this money for the whole scene.
Right.
He's in the background, just floating around, like, hey, you gonna give me my money?
Oh, the lady's reaching for her purse. Oh, she's pulling a passport out. I'm not sure what's going on. Yeah.
Oh, fuck it. By the end, he's out.
I bet these pizza guys absolutely fucking love that nowadays you can just pay online.
Oh,
They don't
yeah.
have to wait around for money. Oh, jeez.
People searching their pockets for it. Yeah, it's all taken care of.
Be a nightmare.
Well, now in the current situation the world's in, they just sort of fling it at the door, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I got a takeaway
The
yesterday.
letterbox.
It wasn't
Yeah,
pizza,
that's right.
but I got some Vietnamese food yesterday. They knock on the door. I approach. They literally had gone over the road. They were over the other side of the road and were watching to make sure I came to get it. Like, and when I opened the door, they just sort of gave me a little wave, like, "Hey."
Oh,
That
that's
is
nice.
the creepiest pizza delivery. Oh,
Yeah.
nice but creepy at the same time from the other side of the road.
Watching.
Yeah.
Oh, always watching. But Phyllis isn't happy here, as you've alluded to, Craig. Actually, they can't afford this thing.
Yes.
So I'm getting the impression that not only is New York expensive, but it's expensive for food, very explicitly.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, exactly. Just like London.
In England, though, in general, I find things like pizzas aren't that cheap anyway. Is it just me? I don't know. You can get crappy ones.
No,
You can
they're
get loads
not.
of
You're right.
Crappy pizzas for
If
cheap.
you want a decent pizza, you gotta pay the price.
Yeah.
Yeah. Over here, there's people you can get. I was going to say there's people who do this, but yeah, there are. You can get a pizza at a 7-Eleven, which is I don't know if you're familiar with that chain because it's not over on your side of the pond.
We
but,
literally have one for some reason here in
Oh,
Liverpool.
okay. Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's not a proper one, and it's not even open 7 till 11.
Yeah, I know it's a mysterious name. I'm not sure what it is supposed to symbolize because it's a very strange. At least, there was a chain in Massachusetts or maybe around the country called Store 24, and they stuck to their word. They were open 24 hours a day. So, I mean, that was pretty laid out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you want.
Exactly.
I don't understand. Liverpool is the only place I have seen a 7-Eleven in England, though. Like, I've heard of it in
I've never
movies.
seen one
Yeah.
anywhere else. But Liverpool's got lots of things that nowhere else has got.
It's a
Oh,
weird
okay.
place here. It's a very strange location in the best possible way.
It's one on its own, isn't it? I think.
It really is. It really, really is. But Phyllis thinks they're going to have to cancel the gig
Oh, that's right.
due to paying for pizza, not amps. So pizza, not punk, let's say.
Right. Yeah.
Go pizza, go pizza. No.
That's how broke they are. That a purchase of a pizza has scuppered the gig.
Yeah. That's a tough spot for any tour.
It is. It really is.
Much less one with a baby on board.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by this baby, right? I this has come up a few times. Every time you see this baby in the background, whose baby is this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
I like that we don't know. It's like, oh, yeah, I don't know. All the band are just raising this baby.
It's the band baby. You know, bands usually have babies. You know, that's one of those things that's not talked about that much, but they, you know, they're doted on so much that bands tend to like to have someone to take care of.
It's common knowledge in the music scene. But maybe
Yeah, oh,
not
absolutely. Yeah.
It is interesting, though, that it never once comes up as a topic of conversation in the film.
No, it's just a given.
There's a baby.
She's just there.
I like that, though, because the band are kind of, you know, they're rockers and stuff, but I get the vibe, you know, they're just there because Hedwig has told them to be there. Like, you are my band, and you will play what I tell you to play. Oh, okay, yes.
I think it's really sweet though. Like they're rockers, but actually they've got like such a sweetness about them. Like the scene in the laundrette when he gets really upset about the bra. His little lip is kind of like because it's gone in. You know, like I just think there's something really cute and quite soft about the band.
Yeah, there is, because like I don't like that in movies when they always portray, especially in the 80s, they portray rockers and punks as being aggressive and violent bullies. It's like, hang on, no, the punks are the weirdos.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was that whole trend of any movie that had a like New York street thug, they had some kind of punk haircut or something. Like in Death Wish 2, which is the worst of the entire franchise. I happened to during the early stages of lockdown, I polished off the entire series. And if you had asked me years ago, hey, do you think you'll ever watch Death Wish 1 through 5? I'd be like, get out of here. But no, I ended up
crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I ended up watching them on acid, which was good. And it was very strange. I got into a strange Charles Bronson kick and also watched about 4 or 5 Chuck Norris films until I was like, okay, I can't. I'm going down a very dark road here in times that
you sound like me. This is uncanny. I mean, you're talking to someone who genuinely likes the Fast and the Furious franchise.
Oh, no, listen, God bless any action film like that. Now, I've been told that I would like those. I haven't seen them, but
they're crazy. They're kind of camp in a way.
Yeah, that's what I love. I love the action films that are so bizarro that they go into this other realm.
Yep. You'll definitely like them then. That's all they are. They're just fucking ridiculous. There's one where they drive cars out of a plane with parachutes on.
Oh, that's right. Now, do you listen to that podcast called How Did This Get Made?
Oh my God, yes, I do. I love it.
Right, I figured, yeah. I love that. And I've heard 1 or 2 of the episodes where they talk about films from that franchise, and it's just whetted my appetite to actually see the films.
I think they're camp classics. People may disagree, but you're wrong.
Well, again, it's one of those situations where like Verhoeven knew what he was doing. They know what they're doing. Like it's not these accidental things. Yeah.
Maybe Vin Diesel doesn't know what's going on, but the filmmakers know what's going on.
That's a fair point. In these situations, there's always maybe one actor who's not really on the same page as everyone else, but it doesn't matter because they're in the film.
Yep.
They'll know about it later.
Now, about Yitzhak's love of Rent, I've never really explored Rent. I've never... Yeah. So what are your feelings on Rent?
Oh, well, I have to say straight up, because on Patreon, as of recording, my Patreon episodes are all about Rent.
Oh, fabulous. Now, what's the Patreon address? Because just in case people don't know what it is.
Well, there will be a link in the show notes, but, go to patreon.com/SleepyCharlieMedia, which is the network. So you get all of the whole network's bonus stuff, and you get the Rent episodes on there.
Fantastic. Yeah. What other offerings do you have on there? Just a couple other titles that you have on patreon.com/ what is that again?
Sleepy Charlie Media, which is an obscure reference to Twin Peaks: The Return, which nobody ever understands. But yes, we have bonus episodes for the show. The other show I do, Bat Minute. Where we review the Batman movies. So we tend to talk about Batman comics and related things like that.
Oh, great.
And then also, in between episodes of doing Rent, we talk about other things. Like for Pride season, we talked about the movie Pride,
Ah.
which I fucking loved because it was the most British thing I'd ever seen in my life.
It's a fab film.
It was great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Patreon's wonderful. I do a Patreon as well, which, just in case anyone's curious, the regular show I do is called Whimsically Volatile with Craig and Friends, and the Patreon page is patreon.com/Craig and Friends, and I do movie clubs there. There's going to be a Hedwig movie club, and I'm doing 9 to 5, taping that next week with Jake Shears and Karen from Finance, so I'm excited about that.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Karen from Finance is possibly the greatest name of all time.
Isn't it? I know, and such a lovely person as well.
Karen from Finance, what was an amazing name and amazing queen.
Yeah, right? Yeah, definitely.
I completely forgot where we were going before we went
so-
on the Patreon. Oh, Rent.
Well, Rent.
Yeah,
So-
about Rent. What are your thoughts on Rent then?
Oh, I fucking love it. I absolutely fucking adore it. Now, I've said this before on the show, but I'm going to repeat it because, sometimes people do genuinely join at this stage and then they go back. So I'll repeat it.
Sure.
I watched it once. I was on my own for the weekend. My partner had gone away to Wales. So I was on my own. And I watched Hedwig for the 5 millionth time. And I was thinking, this was only like 2 years ago, and I thought to myself, you know what? They keep talking about this fucking movie, Rent. Well, not movie, but, production.
Yeah.
And I was like, the movie version is here right now on Netflix. I should just watch it. What is it? I'm going to have a fun night. I'm going to drink a bottle of wine and I'm going to watch Rent. It'll be great and exciting, and I'll come out of it joyous and upbeat. No.
Bless you.
No, I was sat there stroking the cat, which is not a metaphor. I was stroking the cat. I drank a bottle of wine and I was just sobbing like,
La bohème.
Oh, it was so depressing, but in a beautiful way. I loved it so much. In fact, I had Davina De Campo on, and they hated it. So
Really? Wow.
Really? Okay.
Interesting.
I thought that would be a favourite of Davina's, actually.
I thought that. I didn't even bring it up. They brought it up. Like, oh, Rent, I fucking hate.
You really hate something if you've got to bring it into conversation without prompting.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
I thought they'd love it. Craig, I think you will enjoy it. It's
thank you,
no spoilers. How do I describe it?
No, it's okay. I
it's
appreciate the
exciting
note.
and fun and dark and realistic, but still exciting. I don't know. It's
Yeah, it sounds very moving too.
it is moving.
Yeah. It's tragic but beautiful and moving, and it's just a good film about people living life and feeling things.
An angel is a hero except for killing a dog, but we'll leave that.
Flawed characters. I love a flawed character.
Yeah. And to be honest, they're pushed into it by capitalism because they have no money and they're paid to kill the dog because they're so poor. So you're like, well, they're not really at fault. It's the system.
Yeah, exactly. They're suffering too.
Mm-hmm.
And that reminds me of another very depressing film that was actually a wonderful soothing balm to the anxiety I was feeling at the time a couple months ago during all this. And I ended up watching for the first time, surprisingly, The Rose, the Bette Midler film.
Oh, yeah.
And that is not a cheery up with people knee slapper by any means, but it's such a fucking great movie that it like lifted me in a way. It's amazing films like that can be really wrenching, but still afterwards you feel like elated kind of.
Well, sometimes that's the best thing. Like, when I'm depressed, I may sit and listen to 5 albums nonstop of The Cure and Joy Division.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sometimes that's what you need. It's kind of like you relate to it, and that brings you up weirdly.
Right.
It's catharsis, isn't it? You kind of express those feelings, you live them through what you're watching or you're encountering, and somehow on the other side of it, you've kind of let something go of what you were feeling, haven't you? It's kind of gone with the film, or it's gone with the music. It's
definitely.
It's out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the same with Hedwig. Like, Hedwig has ups and downs. Hedwig can be, depending how you interpret the end, it can be very joyous. Some people find it quite sad.
Interesting.
So, personally, I find the end uplifting, but that's because I've seen it so many times, and I'm a David Lynch fan, so I look at things through a very skewed lens.
Sure. No, I get that. I also like an ambiguous ending.
Yes. I like to think Obviously, there's loads of fun to be had with your movies that don't make you think, like
Oh,
The Fast
sure.
and the Furious.
Yeah.
I'm here for a thinker.
Yeah.
I think that to me that ending is kind of, I don't know about you guys. It's kind of like that whole thing of what I was saying earlier about that our lives don't fit that very neatly into binaries or into boxes. That at the end, the sense that the Hedwig has come to terms with both sides of who they are, and that actually they can be both things at once, and that's okay, and walk
exactly,
and that's all right.
That's good. That's exactly how I see it. You get some people who are like, well, I don't like the end because they decide that they're actually a man. It's like, that's not what it says to me. Like, I'm not going to say you're wrong, but that's not remotely how I see it.
Yeah, it's not how I see it either. I see it because of the tattoo. I see it as that Hedwig's realized that she doesn't need to be enmeshed with someone else to be a whole. This pursuit to find the other half, it's actually inside you.
Yep, it's within you all along. Like this pursuit for the other half is actually quite damaging for everyone.
Yeah, right. And I think that's an amazing, not trope or theme. I think an amazing theme in the film too is about how you can really screw your life up by getting stuck into and staying in relationships that are not good for you.
Exactly. And it's fine to find someone and love someone and be with someone, but that can't be your totality.
Exactly. Yeah,
absolutely. I think that's probably a theme in his work, actually. I would say through a lot of his films, there's something of that runs through, especially in Shortbus as well. There's a similar kind of sense of finding oneself in relation on your own before you can find it in relation to anybody else.
Right.
Yeah. I like that we started off talking about pizza and then got onto this very deep. So let me make it lowbrow because there's a bit near the start here where the guitarist is in the background having his ass shaved.
Oh my God! Yes, that's right.
Yeah, and that was a much longer scene originally, and they cut most of it out. But there you go. He's getting his butt shaved. Get rid of that peach fuzz.
Now I haven't checked the bonus materials on the Criterion Blu-ray yet. Which is strange. I know I'm way behind on my bonus materials. There's also hours of bonus features on the Phantom of the Paradise Blu-ray that I've not explored yet. But do they have the extended version of that scene in there? Are there more extended or deleted scenes than there were on the New Line DVD?
I have not seen the full scene of this butt shave, so I don't think it's on there unless I'm completely misremembering because I haven't watched the bonuses since I started the podcast. I watched them all in one go because I'm going to start this show.
Yeah.
I don't recall that being one of the bonuses, though. I remember John talking about it on the commentary track.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to revisiting the commentary as well as watching the documentary, which I have not watched the documentary in a few years.
Oh, it's great. It's wonderful. And then there's all the other new bonus stuff. Like there's them all getting together now to talk about it. That's one of my favorite things.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah.
Because John still, does the show now, essentially. Like you might have seen, he will perform as Hedwig now with a grey wig.
Oh, and I had the delight of going to the town hall show in New York last year during Pride, and I had tickets. I actually had a front row seat that I bought. I wasn't gifted to the performance that got axed this year at Town Hall. I was going to go back to New York for Pride and tape a show with Steven because we were going to tape a show last year, but he was having some vocal issues, so it was decided maybe we'll do it another time because you have to do 3 shows. The less you have to talk, the better. But it was really amazing because I never got to see Hedwig done live, except for a local production in Boston, and certainly not with John. So I was finally able to go see the songs performed. I did have to buy the charity price ticket, but because I didn't know that it was happening until late in the game, but it was worth it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Hey, I'd pay.
Yeah, well, I think we all would. Yeah, it's that kind of thing.
Yes.
It's a special show. Yeah.
I'd pay anything to see John do it because I'm the same. I've only seen John do it on YouTube, which is technically not legit. There's quite a few people I've seen only on YouTube. Neil Patrick Harris on YouTube.
Right. You know what I'd really like to see? Some bootlegs of the Ali Sheedy run.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lots of people I've had on, if they've seen Ali Sheedy, were like, oh, she was amazing. She was so good at it.
Really interesting, because I remember reading some stuff about it that they kind of made it. It just seemed like let's say an unorthodox take on it.
Yeah. I think that's what the guests I've had on liked, though. They were like, oh, this was punk as fuck. Like, this was crazy.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Wow.
And I do love me some Ali Sheedy.
I haven't even seen a clip. I'm going to have to go scour the net.
I don't want to endorse bootlegs, but, when there's no other option,
Exactly.
what are you going to
Gotta
do?
do.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's not like you're selling them. You're just,
Exactly. If you provide me with a legal way of watching this, I will give you any amount of money.
Yeah. That would be fun, like an on-demand thing where they have all the archive tapes.
Yeah, because they do have, what's it called? Is it Broadway HD or something? It's an app, but they haven't got a lot of stuff on it. They haven't got Hedwig or anything. They've got Kinky Boots.
Cool.
Which I'm going to talk about on the Patreon after Rent.
Oh, fab. Cool.
Do love some Kinky Boots in both ways, the movie and Kinky Boots.
Oh, same.
Oh,
Yeah.
don't we all?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not saying no. Yeah.
I love Yitzhak coming in as well. With the wig on that basically Angel wears in Rent.
Yeah.
And, they go, fuck
Right.
off, Phyllis.
Mm-hmm.
Like Yitzhak has had enough of all of this shit. Like it's not Phyllis specifically. It's this.
Yeah.
The situation, the life, the lack of love. Fuck you too, Miss Hedwig.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny the fuck you Phyllis thing because Phyllis is trying to be supportive.
Yep. But they don't give a shit in this moment. They're just angry with everything. Like, fuck
Yeah.
you.
Absolutely. Sure.
You represent everything that's going wrong.
Yeah. Totally.
You're the manager. You're in charge of this.
Yeah.
And it is harsh because Phyllis is trying her best. Phyllis is really trying, but it is funny as well.
Yeah. I have to say, I like the bonus thing with the phone in the tooth as a bonus thing, and I'm so happy it's not in the film.
I'm exactly the same. Like, Dross, have you seen that?
No, I've not seen that in the bonus. What's that?
Oh, my God. Yeah. Well, basically, Phyllis has implanted in her tooth a mobile phone. So she answers calls by like touching her tooth with her tongue.
Okay.
And it's meant to be a joke, like she's always on, she's always on the go. She can't turn off. She just works and works and works and works.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So it's fucking hilarious. But if it was in the movie, I agree. I don't know if I'd like it.
Yeah.
And then once knowing that, that's why she's like, I'm sorry, I'm late. I had to wait for the phone company or something like that.
Yeah. And it's not that far-fetched now when you're permanently on.
Quite prescient.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I am in so many group chats that I just mute because
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to be in a chat with 30 people. I'm not going to read any of these messages.
It's exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
It is. Like, thanks for adding me, but I'm not going to read what you type.
Yeah.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck off. In fact, like Yitzhak says.
And I wondered also what the protocol would be if your passport is ripped up. Are you able to go to like the embassy of your country when you're in the States or what? I mean, I imagine right now it'd be a lot more difficult, but in saner days. Yeah.
I think you would. I think that's what you'd have to do. You'd have to go to your local embassy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they could sort it out for you, but I don't think it's going to be done like today.
Right.
I think it'll be like, oh, we'll get you it in 6 weeks.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. There's no rushing on that.
Well, that's the thing, because I had someone on who was like, well, how does this really screw up their plans to do the tour for Rent? Because they have their other great line, fuck you, I'm going to Guam.
Yeah.
And, it fucks it up because I don't think these offices and organizations and things, they don't operate quickly. You're not getting that passport this afternoon.
No, certainly not.
Sellotape it a prayer. That's the answer. Sellotape it a prayer.
Yeah.
Right.
That's all you can do. And I'm someone who's had moving around all over the world. I've had many passports over my years, and they're not helpful when there's issues. Let me tell you.
So earlier you said about you were telling us about moving and to where you were the place where you were watching Hedwig every day. And
Yes.
so where were you before that?
Before that, I lived in Pakistan.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone, that's the reaction I always get.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I lived in Pakistan. I've lived in England and Cyprus and Pakistan and a few places. Moved all over the place, you know.
So how long have you been in Liverpool?
Oh, this is the longest I've ever been in one place now. So I've been here for 13 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So this is my longest stint. Before that, the longest I've been somewhere was 5 years.
And where was that?
That would be Gloucester.
Gloucester.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you've even heard of it, Craig.
I have. I'm a bit of an Anglophile. I haven't been to Gloucester, but I've heard of it. Yeah.
I would not recommend going.
Good to know. Good to know, because I've been to England twice, and I'm going to go back when we all can do that sort of thing. And now I know I can skip Gloucester, which is helpful. Thank you.
Definitely skip Gloucester. You know, nearby you've got Birmingham, which I'm sure you've been to. You can go to Birmingham instead.
I have not been there yet, but I'll make sure that when I go there, I will avoid any exit that would take me to Gloucester. Yeah.
Please do, please. And Cheltenham as well. Ignore Cheltenham.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Will do.
I've lived all over those.
You can cross off.
As long as you come to Liverpool, we're happy.
Yeah, I will have to come to Liverpool for sure. Now, Dross, are you from Liverpool?
So I was born in Warrington and now live in St Helens. They're two little towns that are just outside Liverpool, but I guess for all intents and purposes, yes is the answer, the short answer.
Yeah, you're a Liverpool.
Yeah,
Come on.
yeah.
Sure.
But always lived in kind of the Merseyside area.
Gotcha.
So yeah, and Eat Me and Preach is which John's mentioned earlier is a night that I co-produce, which is
cool.
an alternative queer cabaret, queer alternative drag cabaret, 3-course vegan dinner and disco afterwards. So that's kind of the thing that we do.
And it's the best night, let's be honest. I'm not just buttering you up.
Yeah,
it sounds fabulous.
Yeah, we've had it's always a ball. We have an amazing crowd. Things have been hard. Kind of like we did our first event since lockdown. Restrictions have eased slightly. On bank holiday weekend, we did a little drag brunch, socially distanced, which was cute. Yeah, it's fun. If you come to Liverpool, you have to come.
Oh, no, it's already on my list for sure. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to meeting both of you.
And then we can take you out for crappy pizza.
Yeah, that's a little crappy pizza and a fabulous night out.
Mm-hmm.
Although if you eat the food at Eat Me and Preach, let me say, that ain't crappy.
Oh, no.
Not to butter you up. That's good food.
I can't take any credit for the food, I'm afraid. That's the amazing anticlimax.
Yeah, anticlimax. Top tier.
Is a wizard, a witch, a culinary witch.
And that's her name, Anti-Wizard?
Anticlimax.
Oh, I see.
They are a hero. I've invited them on, but then also then the lockdown happened, and then everyone's whole schedule got fucked.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah, this is the era of rescheduling, as we were discussing on text.
Oh God, yes. Oh my God, yeah. Everything I possibly could have organized was like, can we do this like another? Can we do this in 8 weeks? Because
Sure.
I understand totally. It's fine.
Just late.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, and then you get other people actually. Like I just recorded one a couple of days ago where they brought it forward, which was unique.
Ooh.
Like, can I record tonight? I was like, okay. All right, well, let's do it. But speaking of doing it, Yitzhak wants to do it, as in a divorce. They want a divorce. So are they actually married? Because I'm never sure if this is like a legally binding thing or just they mean it in like a kind of, they're spiritually married. You know, they're a couple, they're together, they've been together a long time.
Right.
Because could they get married then?
That's a good question.
I don't know.
In my mind, they probably couldn't in the eyes of the law, but you know, in Rent there's a marriage, which I don't know if it's legal, but fuck it, who cares?
Yeah, exactly. And
they think they're married, so they're married, and that's that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Married to them.
But it's the wording as well, isn't it? I want a divorce. Like,
right. Very
just
specific.
I'm leaving you.
Yeah, right. Right.
It's very interesting. But and their reasons for the divorce: mental cruelty, irreconcilable difference. I quote that line all the time.
It's very quotable. Such a quotable film too. The bra in the dryer. Not that it comes up in practical ways, but it's certainly one of my favorite quotes. Yeah.
It doesn't come up for me. I literally have one bra, which I wore once to Eat Me and Preach when I dressed as Disasterina. That's literally the only. Otherwise, nope, never come up. And I must admit that was about 1.5 years ago, and I haven't washed it.
There you go. Now you run no risk of putting it in the dryer, which is good.
Nope. Not happening.
Yeah, you don't need to wash drag. It washes itself eventually.
Right? Yeah, exactly. The glamour takes care of all of the hygiene. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Nobody washes their tights. Come on.
She wants a divorce, and then she almost gets away with the appeal to Hedwig's better nature.
Like Yitzhak kind of relents a little bit and tries to ease the tension, which I have always assumed, this is a tactic. It might not be. Maybe they're being genuine, but it feels like a tactic. Like Yitzhak knows how to play Hedwig.
Right.
And that's not in a negative way. That's not like in a nasty, underhand way, but they know what they have to do. You know, going toe-to-toe with her won't work.
Oh, certainly. Right.
She's a tough woman, isn't she, Hedwig? You don't fuck with her.
Right. And at this point, she's at her toughest. And I think that's why the makeup is done that way and all that stuff. And it's the most sort of blunt, almost brutalist version of a Hedwig. There's no glamour. It's just very drab, and also drab against this very fun fun color background.
Yeah. It's kind of dare I say dominating. It's quite like intimidating. Like
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
It's kind of like that's been sucked out of her and into the palette of the scene, isn't it? Kind of really. It's kind of
yeah, totally.
I love that. I think it's great. But you know, Yitzhak's soft approach doesn't really work either, because Hedwig's holding their passport, which I think is a great revelation. I actually haven't said this. That when Hedwig jokes earlier in the movie, I've got their passports right here. They're not fucking joking. They're being serious. She has their passports right here.
Right. And then that leads into the imagined backstory of what brought everyone over, or how she brought everyone over.
Yeah. So what we're saying is we need a TV show made by HBO that's a prequel.
That's right. And I think also it speaks to the kind of manipulation tactics that Hedwig has learned from the abuse that she suffered from Luther.
Yes, totally. And again, she might not realize she's doing it, but that's what it is. It's the same kind of thing.
Sure. And it makes sense that she would know maybe the difference between what's right to do and what's not right, because the mother has never been a source of reliable support in any way.
No. She's kind of had to find her own way through those things, hasn't she?
Yeah. And then to mention Luther again, you know, the first sign of someone paying attention and seeming to care, off like a shot, you know what I mean? And then into another bad situation.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah. I'd like to bring the mood up anytime I can. Yeah.
It's a fairly dark film anyway, isn't it? It's kind of like a dark film that's painted with light.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think it's all right that it goes there. You know, it leads you there, I think.
Well, that's the beauty of it, isn't it? It's like, it's fun and exciting, and it's got great songs that you can sing along to, but the actual story it's fucking horrible.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It's really like everyone's just abused and miserable and dark and trying to find themselves. Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And I was thinking again about the other theme going through it, which is the appropriation of queer work and the subjugation of the queer artists from which it comes from. Which, you know, that because rewatching that scene, I then watched the next chapter, because I hadn't watched the full film in a little while. And I sort of, you know, it was hard to turn it off, but watching the scene in the limo and all of that sort of brought that back into very sharp focus.
Well, it's an interesting thing with Tommy, which I'm going to talk about in the next episode, obviously. But like, it never really brings up, is he gay? Is he bi? Is he queer in any, like, that's not a discussion almost. That's irrelevant to him.
Right.
And he goes off on his own journey, which is clearly, at least, he's presenting himself as straight to these young teenage girls and things.
Sure.
I think it's to me it's kind of like it's an issue to Hedwig as much as her he paid as little attention to the front of me as possible, in that way. But to Tommy, he's kind of denying the relationship for what it actually is, and there's this so to me the kind of the relationship between them in terms of the in terms of sexuality, I think is almost a mirror to the way in which they're talking about the kind of exploitation of queer culture, that it's ignored that is where it's come from, that it's kind of the appropriation of artistic works that kind of that is in a similar way, kind of, or as a mirror to kind of the way in which Tommy kind of ignores that kind of sexual relationship or does not want to.
Well, he doesn't want to deal with it.
No,
he doesn't want to accept things about himself. He's like, if I ignore that, it's not a problem.
Right, and if I ignore Hedwig totally and completely cut her out of this thing, it's okay because that allows me to then pretend that this union never existed, and therefore
the work is mine. Yeah,
and the work is mine, and I'm totally straight.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Which, to be honest, at the time this is set, would be the approach he probably would have to take with the label.
Sure.
Because you could maybe be a little bit kind of androgynous and play with that a little bit, like in the vein of, like Placebo, you could look a little bit femme. But if in the era this movie's set, if people found out, he's going out with a trans woman, they'd be like, that would be like scandal, which it clearly is when you see later on.
Oh, yeah.
Which is unfortunate, but, it's the late 90s, early 2000s. What do you expect?
Well, yeah, sure.
People who are stupid. People are still stupid, but
slightly less stupid, maybe, slightly.
We're inching towards.
Oh yeah, inching towards. Dross, what did you say?
Oh, I was just going to say about Michael Pitt as well. He plays Tommy Gnosis in this. I think he's a cracking actor. I think he was great, and I've just recently finished rewatching Hannibal, the series Hannibal.
One of my favorite.
And Michael Pitt is Mason Verger in that. I think is such a brilliant portrayal. Yeah, I was just going to say I think it's it's got a cracking cast of film, and it's kind of those people that you kind of see that you go, I forgot that you were in this when you're watching things again.
Yeah. This is the first thing I probably saw Michael Pitt in. Come to think of it,
same here.
And I've brought this up on the show before, and there's rumors that he's difficult to work with, but I do not like it when people say that, because what do they mean by that? Like, I'm an introvert at heart. In person, I might also come across that way.
Yeah, it is interesting. I know when it's vague like that, it's hard to get a read on it, and you don't know if it's someone who's very dedicated to their craft and just sort of has blinders on in terms of that, or if it's someone who's like a Val Kilmer complete asshole,
That's so funny because my other show, being Bat Minute, where we talk about Batman, we've just finished the Val Kilmer one, Batman Forever. And that's Joel Schumacher, the director, did not get on with him in that movie.
Didn't he have, I almost said doesn't he, but I know that he passed recently, sadly, but didn't he have a really funny way of talking about Val, where he basically, in like a very polite way, said something like, well, I don't want to talk about him as a person, but, inferring that it was like a horror show. Yeah.
Exactly. There's a lot of things with that movie. Like, I'm going to talk about it in an upcoming episode as well, but Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones did also very much not get along.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I went down a Tommy Lee Jones rabbit hole a little while ago, reading about his basically like incredibly creepy, some would say sociopathic or narcissistic personality disorder flavored behavior on sets to people. So apparently, also he's not very nice to any interviewer.
I can imagine that. That's the vibe I get off.
Yeah.
Like he's there against his will.
Yeah.
Make it as difficult as possible for you until this interview is over. Kind of.
To be honest, though, if I was as famous as him, you know, you've done that many interviews, you probably think after a while, you know, I'm just gonna have fun with this one.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna annoy them. Yeah, I kind of get it. He doesn't want to be there. He's an old man who just wants to just do his work and fuck off home.
But you know that is what he's getting paid an incredible amount of money for too. You know what I mean? Like that's part of it. So it's like just do your fucking job, Tommy.
I love it. Oh, and when Hedwig here rips up the passport,
yeah,
I noticed Yitzhak kind of barely reacts for a second. I thought because maybe they're so upset. Like this is the lowest point of Hedwig, the character that we've seen, and maybe Yitzhak has seen. It's like a very shameful moment. And Phyllis isn't happy either. Like she implies that not only is she going, but she is not fucking coming back.
You don't.
This is the
anymore.
final straw.
There definitely is that sense. Like this is it. It's all over for real.
Yeah. It's not just another argument they've had on the road. Like, oh no, you have gone over the edge.
Too far.
Yeah.
Too far.
Yeah. Like everyone's been bending over backwards to help in this noble fight against the imperious behavior of Tommy Gnosis, but now
it's not even about that almost. Like you've forgotten what this is about.
Right. The self-destruction is now in full tilt boogie. Yeah.
Indeed.
And I really love how through like almost all of this, Hedwig is wordless.
Yeah.
She doesn't say anything. Like she comes across very cold and stern, as we said.
Right.
But also, I feel personally, I don't know if it's just because I'm relating in some way, I feel her pain. Like she feels wounded.
Oh, yeah.
It's
totally
not even
agree.
about Yitzhak specifically anymore.
No.
Like they've gone completely over the edge. You know, fuck everything, fuck life.
Yeah. I think there's a certain hopelessness and total helplessness. And she's rendered mute by the rage and obsession and the feeling of futility.
And that's what leads her to do this. It's like, well, you know, I don't care about anything anymore. So fuck you. Like,
Yeah.
Why should you have something nice?
Yeah.
Which is a horrible way to treat the person you're supposed to love, but
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
they're not in a good headspace.
They're not, are they? They're at the end of that. I think that's like what I was saying before about it. It reminds me a little bit of you know the Annie Lennox song, "Why."
Oh, right.
Oh,
yeah, sure.
Which I believe is going to be your music choice.
It is my music choice. Yeah, but I think it's that's the to me that's where they are at that relationship point. It's that moment where it's kind of like, okay, why? And so there's and so there's no point in kind of continuing beyond the fact that there's still that kind of little thread of love that is there, you know.
Yeah.
The two of them.
It's a shame because you want the best for both of them, but this is never going to work at this point, is it?
No, absolutely not. No, there's nothing that can bring it back from there. And it was already pretty destroyed anyway.
Especially when you see the deleted scenes as well, which I'm sure you've probably seen, Craig.
Yes,
actually,
definitely. Yeah.
When you see how they met Yitzhak.
Right.
Oh, it's kind of this obsession with Hedwig has to be the most beautiful, you know, like I am the one.
Yeah.
I'm the star.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, well, you can be with me, but you're my backing singer. You will stand there and do what I tell you to do.
Well, also the actress who plays Yitzhak in as drag king is fucking hot as well.
Yeah.
Like, that character is brilliant.
She's amazing, like always.
She is. I remember watching a sitcom she was on just because she was on it. The sitcom was terrible. But I can't even remember the name of it. It was like Finding Silverman or something like that. But
I've seen a movie called Saving Silverman. Is that it?
No, it's not that. It's
Not
and
that.
I could have the name wrong. You know what? I'll look it up while we talk. I got to meet Miriam after the town hall show as well.
Okay.
Which was lovely. She was just as striking in person.
Amazing.
Let's see, Miriam.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I mean, I saw her in The Americans, a show I like. She was in that for a bit.
I need to watch that show. Like that.
Oh, it's great.
There you go. A good show that she's in. I haven't seen it. I saw this show, which was not so good. I guess we'll come back to it because I can't quite find it. So
if we figure it out, we will bring it up.
Perfect.
But I mean, technically, that's the end of the scene.
Oh.
Yeah, it's the end of the scene. But I want to mention also the incredible pivoting that the story goes through. I mean, it's already quite a loaded story, and the flashback technique that's used, which I've heard John talk about in interviews, saying that it was very, heavily influenced by all that jazz. And when I first heard him say that, I went, "Oh my God, yeah!" In that great way we realize that it's inspired by, but definitely not derivative of. And so you're already, we're jumping back and forth in time, and the story's gripping, and everything's amazing about the movie. But the way that this scene ends really sets up the next chapter incredibly, because you're not expecting it to go in that direction at all, because you're so shocked and stunned by what you just saw.
Yeah. Like, in a way, Hedwig, I mean, there's nothing wrong with what they do in the next chapter, but it's a new low for them. That's not what they were gunning for. That's not anything to do with their trajectory at this point.
Right, but she also looks incredible. And then, I mean, she looks great in the whole film. But I love that look with the white boots and the.
Yeah,
I love that. And John says he hates that look.
Really?
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, because it was the toughest one to shoot and make him look good. Because
okay.
The lighting, especially when they get in the limo, which I will get to.
Yes. The next episode, which we all can't wait for.
The lighting in that limo, John's like, this is not friendly, shall we say, to the makeup.
It's not friendly, that lighting. No.
No, it's from below, and it's like, oh, jeez. And he was like, this is awful. I hate how I look. And that's the reshoot as well, because he said he looked worse before.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Whereas I think he looks amazing.
I think he looks beautiful in that scene. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Artists always hate their own work, let's be honest.
True.
Well, sure. Also, I can imagine maybe that scene had some bad memories for him in terms of him having to direct and like go through, look through the viewfinder, and then all that stuff, with those boots and all of that.
I still, to this day, do not understand how people direct and star in a film at the same time. It makes no fucking sense to me.
I know.
Yeah.
It's wild, especially when you're singing live.
Yeah. How do people kind of like that flick from one mode of thinking to another, kind of like, in terms of kind of like, not only in terms of like as an actor, but then kind of like camera angle shots, like how do you
It's crazy.
That? It is.
How do you keep it in your head? Like, you're in the scene, and then in the back of your mind, you're thinking, you know what? No, I think we should move the camera.
Yeah. Right. And how do you focus on the composition of a shot when you're also maybe potentially hyper-focusing on your appearance in it, like...
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Which you will do. It's not narcissistic. Like, you will immediately focus on yourself and go, oh, fuck, this is awful.
No, it's just only natural. Like, like when I edit my show or you edit your show or, whatever. I'm sure, Dross, if you're looking at a tape of your performance with another person, you can't help it, especially if you're in like a kind of mood. You know what I mean? Like, so imagining directing the thing and all the pressure and all of the crew and all that stuff, it's quite a feat.
Oh, and hypercritical of yourself as well, I think, in those moments as well.
Sure.
That criticality, not only as a performer, but then, as you say, in terms of the composition of the image of that performance at the same time, must be incredibly consuming.
Yeah, definitely. Just that reminds me again, though, of the incredible camera work of Frank G. DeMarco and just the look in general of the movie. I mean, which is, of course, attributable to the production designer and all of the folks that made up the thing. But it's still just one of the best looking movies I've ever seen.
I mean, I'm not going to disagree. That's why I'm here.
The animation as well, those beautiful animation sections are just gorgeous, and I think are really, really integral to the storytelling, and especially that kind of how it draws you towards that final scene, and how we return to that. What's the name of the song now, which plays at the end of the film?
Origin of Love?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, like
right.
You mean the end? Okay.
But it also plays with that animation at the start, doesn't it? I mean, then we return to that, and that's the dream world that's underneath.
Right. And the animation telegraphs so much information in such a compact amount of time.
Yes, yeah. Mhm.
Oh, it's crazy. It's absolutely amazing. Like they have that on the stage. And I think I would be so distracted, I kind of wouldn't be taking it in. But when you watch a movie this many times, you know, the third, fourth, fifth time you watch it, you're like, I'm going to look at this stuff in the background. I'm going to pay attention to different things. And it tells you a lot.
You know, you mentioned how many times you've seen it, and I've seen it fewer times than that, but quite a bit compared to a lot of people. But that reminds me of how there would be new things that I'd get from the movie each time I saw it, and even a compact amount of time, much in the way that you watched it that many times in a month, because there's just so much in it. But yet, it's not one of those movies where you're like, I'm not sure how I feel about it, so I'll try it again. You're really struck intensely by it the first time, but then there's so much there that you can keep going back to it.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Yeah, I connected with it immediately. Not just because, I mean, I came to it as a goth I was at the time. Leaning into getting into punk as well. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch this movie. And then I discovered, it kind of opened my world to the possibilities of gender expression and things like this. Things I've never even heard about outside of seeing Marilyn Manson.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So I was like, "Oh my fucking god, this is I've got to watch that again. What's it saying to me?" Like,
now I'm curious, did that lead you down the path of going and checking out like more Bowie or more Iggy, or had you already been? Oh, okay, great. That's wonderful. That's one of the best things about it.
100%. Yeah. I was into my cheesy, Marilyn Manson. And and then I got into punk, and it was all the stereotypical cheesy punk stuff. So I hadn't really sat and listened to Bowie until I saw this, and I liked Bowie and got into him and things. And then over the years, he's now one of my favorites. I mean, I've got a Bowie tattoo. I've got 90% of the albums on vinyl. I don't have some of the 90s stuff.
Well, that's fair enough. You know what I mean? There's so many.
I want even the bad ones.
Oh no, me too. Listen, I like the only Bowie album that I think. Well, the Tin Machine albums, I listen to them once every couple of years. There's a couple things I like on each one. There's bizarrely more footage of Tin Machine doing interviews than like any other era there's plenty of video on him on every era. I collect Bowie stuff, and I do a Bowie night for my dance party, Videodrome discotheque. I haven't done it in a while. I might do one on Twitch or something during this time. Which also, I never say the phrase during this time more than during this time. So I have an enormous amount of Bowie video, and there's a shocking amount from Tin Machine. But I will say that Black Tie White Noise I came to more later. I bought it when it came out, but I like it a lot more now. But the only album that really kind of for the solo stuff is Never Let Me Down. But I still like it. I still like it, though. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. I mean, the only one I don't really like, but I still listen to out of obligation is Hours.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that one is kind of polarizing. Dross, what about you? What's your feeling on Bowie?
I think to me, like The Man Who Sold the World is the one which I'm here for. A little bit of Low as well, the kind of like Berlin period. But I think in terms of the later stuff, I think that period kind of like Heathen to Earthling, like Reality, Earthling, those three albums. I think what's the track on Reality? Bring Me the Disco King. Beautiful piece of music. Yeah.
I love that one.
I love that. And there was a Dutch single that had a bonus version, and it might be on the super deluxe of Reality. And it's Love Missile F-111, the Sig Sig Sputnik track. He did a cover of that. It's so good. It's so good. Remind me, I'll send it to you because it's.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's so great and a totally unexpected cover. Anyway, what were we saying?
Well, I'm also a fan of. People don't seem to like Lodger, the third of the Berlin trilogy. I'm like, how can you not like this? It's amazing. What the fuck are you talking about?
I know, I completely agree. Yeah, I love that one.
I think people just don't see it on the same level as the previous two because they have like other sides that are. They have instrumental tracks that are very synth heavy and things. Whereas Lodger's like, no, these are all just bangers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I think you can't get better than Low though for that first one. I just think is that and the opening track.
speed of life.
Yeah, it's just like transports you to like just whack that on, close your eyes.
And it's Bowie's best look for me. I think that
Would you like
looks
that?
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a fabulous
Looks
look.
amazing. But before we start a Bowie podcast, because they do exist. In fact, everyone, go and listen. This is not sponsored again. Go and listen to From A to Ziggy.
Oh, right. I
Where-
heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, they talk about all the Bowie songs from A to Z, or A to Z, shall I say, for Craig here. It's, and they go through all of them. And there's also, there's another show. There's like a Velvet Goldmine minute.
Oh, wow.
I can't remember what it's called, but they go through that, and that's basically Bowie. isn't it?
Yeah. Although I believe that Bowie wasn't too pleased with that film.
No.
Yeah, right. There's a hilarious story. Actually, back to the Jobriath AD film. In one of the montage sequences early on, the director, Kieran Turner, used Suffragette City, I think, or one of those songs from that era. And he was able to do so because the Bowie estate, essentially Bowie, because he was the one, he always called the shots on this stuff. He gave him like a dirt cheap deal, like a real sweetheart deal, because he, felt, oh yeah, this should be involved in this, and I want to see this film made. Whereas he withheld all use of his music from Todd Haynes.
Oh God! And apparently, they're doing a biopic of David Bowie, which has absolutely none of his music in it because the family do not approve.
Yeah, that'll be a neat
Is it going to be called Starman? I think is the
I think so.
title?
Yeah, I think so.
If you don't
How can you do that with no music?
Yeah, I just give up. I mean, if you're doing a Bowie pick and you haven't got his music, just stop.
Just don't do it at all. It'd be
No,
like
it's true.
doing, recently we had the Elton John one and things, Rocket Man. Imagine that without the songs.
To quote Spinal Tap, a cozy 15 minutes.
And go and listen to Spinal Tap Minute as well, everybody. That's great.
Oh,
I'm on
wow.
that. I'm on
Okay.
that as a guest.
Can I do a little plug for my upcoming podcast as well, which I've not launched yet, but will be.
Oh, definitely. I ask for plugs at the end, but at the same time, I don't give a fuck. Put it in now.
Thank you very much. So I'm launching a podcast where it's called Pretentious Dross. Could have made some real art, and it's going to be a chinwag with special guest artists, makers, producers from across drag, theatre, visual arts, poetry, live art, music, and anything else that I bloody well feel like talking about. Really.
Oh, fantastic!
It's going to be focused on queer makers, queer arts, but kind of like across disciplines, monthly. And I'm really excited about it, actually, because I think it kind of takes me back to what I was doing before drag as well. So
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, as am I.
am.
As am I. And I'm looking forward to checking out your other shows, John, as well. And let me put my plugs in. I know I mentioned them before. Whimsically Volatile, available on all respectable podcast platforms, of course. And for Hedwig fans, you might want to, or Hedwig fans, or both, you might want to start with my episodes with John Cameron Mitchell and Mike Potter. And there's going to be one I'm taping next week with Steven. And there's lots of stuff, and it's very queer focused, the show in general. Lots of different folks, John Grant, Jake Shears, and a lot of the queens from Drag Race, etc. I used to originally do the show with Katya, and she departed because she had to get ready to do her new OnlyFans site. And I also, of course, do.
I saw that on Twitter and was like, nah, they're lying. And I clicked the link, and they were not lying.
They are not lying. They are determined and dedicated. She is a serious woman. So, and also my site is my Patreon again is patreon.com/Craig and Friends, where there's bonus episodes, listener questions episodes, and movie club episodes, including one coming up soon on Spinal Tap. And there's, like I said, going to be a Hedwig one as well.
Hell yeah. All wonderful people. If you don't listen to those already, what are you doing with your life?
Exactly. I think we're just already telling people what they already rate as their favorite shows, even the one that they're pre-ordering now in terms of Dross's show.
Yep. That's your other new favorite show.
That's right.
It's coming and you're going to love it.
Yeah.
But before we get on to the music recommendations, I have one other little bit I talk about, which I call ostalgie, which is the East German word for Eastern nostalgia. It's where people in Berlin and whatnot, they have fond memories of East Germany in some ways. They grew up there, so they have a nostalgic view of certain things.
Sure.
So I try and tie it to the scene. So I looked up pizza in East Germany. Now, Germans do have a thing called, my German's terrible, as people know, called Flammkuchen or Kuchen. And that's very thin and usually has a topping of bacon, creme fraiche, and onion, which is interesting. However, when I was in East Berlin, well, I was in Berlin. It wasn't East Berlin. It was the east part of what is now Berlin as a whole. I had a thing from the communist days called Kruste, which is a complete rip-off of pizza. The socialists were like, well, we want pizza, but we need to make it our own thing to make it sound cool. Like, so,
yeah, sure, of course.
Kruste. The only difference was it's a square.
Ah,
that was the
okay.
big difference.
There you go.
Yeah. Which seemed to suggest it was the norm. Anyway, this place did it as a square, and they kind of indicated, yeah, that's perfectly normal. And it was developed by a East Berlin youth collective, which they described it as a little Thuringian onion cake.
Wow. I like also that there was the collective had this initiative that they were going to make their own version of this cuisine.
They were probably given that directive, like, we need to rip this Italian thing off. Like, what can you do? It's like, okay.
Right.
And it was very nice, the one I had. And you get, like, different ones. You get chicken and vegetables and things. But the number one, to me, is the one I had. I don't eat meat anymore, as I suggested.
Sure.
I did when I went to Berlin. And that's all I ate in Berlin, just pork. It's Spreewald Kruste. And that's topped with sauerkraut, minced meat, and sour cream.
Wow. That sounds quite good, yeah.
Yeah, it was fucking good. I didn't like sauerkraut till I went there. The one you get in England is shit. But I went to Berlin. First night, I was like, okay, I'll have a mouthful then. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. It's lovely. It's beautiful. So they do have their own. I mean, obviously these days you can just go and get a normal Italian pizza.
Well,
but,
sure.
Yeah, back then that wasn't as easily obtainable.
Yeah.
So they had their own kind of version of it, and that's it's interesting to try. They do all kinds. They did spicy ones and stuff. So I had it at they had a museum for East Berlin, the DDR museum, but the restaurant portion of that has closed. Sadly, they expanded the museum and shut the restaurant to encompass it.
Oh, okay. Wow.
It was a shame because I thought that was fun. Like more museums need restaurants.
Absolutely, yeah.
I want classic foods.
Yeah.
Sure. I saw that the other day at a restaurant, not a museum, sorry, which was for like the ugliest. I can't know where in which city, in which country it is in, but I saw this random post come up on my Facebook that was like the museum of like ugliest foods or ugliest sounding foods, and I was like, that's amazing, I want to go there. And it was like this one that was like a bottle for some kind of spirit and you kind of like poured the liquor out of like a taxidermied fox head, and I was like, what?
Oh my god!
Wow,
who's making these things, and why are we not? Like, and I want one. So,
that's insane! What the hell? Oh, I love it. Please buy some for the show. We'll give it away if you subscribe. I don't know, $50 on Patreon.
Yeah, that's see, there's lots of delightful things over at Patreon.com. Remind me again. Sleepy Charles Media?
Sleepy Charlie Media.
Sleepy Charlie Media. Right. Don't go to Sleepy Charles. It's a whole different bag.
Even people who are adamant, like huge fans of Twin Peaks and the new version of Twin Peaks do not have a fucking clue what that's a reference to, and we like it that way.
That's perfect. It actually fits.
Yeah, we like it. Which is hilarious because we don't have a Twin Peaks podcast on the network. We should do. Coming soon. People.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey.
Yeah. That's the next one. But we will move on to music recommendations now. And I get two, as always, because I am a narcissist.
Well, you host and you edit. You host and you edit, therefore.
It's a lot of work, and I pay the hosting fees. You know.
Oh, well, there you go. You might as well do three.
You have to pay for this shit.
Yeah.
And, I'm not going to explain all of mine because I spend half my time explaining myself here. So you can go and listen to these and get what you will out of them.
Sure.
So my first recommendation, which I think the name will give it away why I chose it. It's a song by the punk band Bad Religion called Fuck You.
There you go.
Because, of course, what is the theme of this episode, this chapter? the words "fuck you." Fuck you, Miss Hedwig. And it's a great song as well. I'm not hugely into that kind. I'm more into 70s British punk, right?
Sure.
But Bad Religion have a couple of really, really good songs, and that's one for me. I like that one. So we'll go with you two. Well, it's Dross. What's your music choice? You did mention it before, but in case people have forgotten.
So my music choice is Annie Lennox, "Why" from the fabulous album Diva.
Oh.
And it just made me think of that relationship between Hedwig and Yitzhak in this scene and kind of how that plays out. And it's just a fabulous piece of music. And I'm a big Annie Lennox fan.
Well, I love her anyway. She's an idol.
She is. And she also frequents the restaurant that Katya and I used to go get lunch at. And so I had something that reminded me of Eurythmics. And actually, the first year I was living in LA, I was at a Starbucks and I see this guy, two people ahead of me, and I'm like, that's either Steve Naive from Elvis Costello and the Attractions, or it's Dave Stewart. Then I heard him order his drink, and I heard his voice, and also he ordered something coconut, which I happen to remember from a Live from Daryl's house. He talked about like loving coconut or something, and I was like,
you remembered that?
Yeah, I was like, that's totally him. That's totally him. And but then at another food place, out of the corner of my eye, I see a woman sit down, and I'm like, yeah, that looks like Annie Lennox. So there's no way it is. And I just kind of like saw her quickly, and I was like, oh my God. And then I told Katya as we left, but I guess she goes there all the time when she's in LA. So yeah. It's
crazy that when you see someone that famous, you convince yourself that's not.
Yeah, no, you do. Yeah, even living in LA, where the place is filthy with people like that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
They don't do real things that human people do.
Well, it was like last year, I think, or was it the year before? I went to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival again. I go quite a bit, and I got taken to the Artists' Lounge by Dross, our friend Jez.
Yes.
Yeah, so they took us. Come backstage with me to the Artists' Lounge, and just Eddie Izzard walked in and sat down, and it's like, I want to speak to him, but I don't want to be one of those people. It's the Artists' Lounge. He's with his friends. He's trying to relax. So I didn't speak to him in the end, but I just stared at him awkwardly for about 10 minutes,
and that was enough.
That was enough. Yeah, it's like, you don't want to be that person who goes over there.
Right. It either has to happen or
not
on its own, or yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I still even feel awkward then. Like last year I was in Manchester at a bar, and at the bar is fucking Adore Delano. They wave at me because they remember me from the show, and I just went, hiya.
Oh.
I was like, I didn't want to go and sit with them. It's weird. It's weird. You don't want to piss people off.
Well, if they wave at you, I say, go right over. Then go right over and say, hey, Well, listen, I had the similar thing backstage at DragCon because I want to get, there's all the queens are there, right? But I'm like, oh, well, okay, I want to go ask them to be on the show. Maybe I'll wait till later in the day when everyone's back here. But then they weren't all back there at the same time. So I sort of learned my lesson with that. But I talked to a few folks and then bothered Brandy Glanville, and then not really bothered, but it's one of those weird things. It's never the same, right? It's always like you're like, oh, maybe not now, or maybe I shouldn't. It's just funny thing.
I'll do it in 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Especially when you have a show, because you convince yourself like, well, I really should speak to them about coming on, but maybe I should speak to them about something else first and then mention it.
Yeah, no, I know exactly. Yeah, I actually slightly chased a door down in the walkways at DragCon, and she said yes and to do the show. And then I got the manager's thing, and the manager never even messaged back, which was weird because I must have had a number wrong on the thing, because you can message large agencies that have plenty other things to do with their time, and they will send you a form letter or like a no. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, I also understand when you message these people and they're busy. They've got a lot
oh
going
no,
on.
they're totally busy. Yeah, lest it seem like I'm all broken up about that. It's just one of those things that happen. Yeah.
If people don't see these things, I'm like, whatever, fine. Don't worry.
Yeah. Just take your shot, and then whatever happens is going to happen.
Exactly. That's how I got you, Craig, and you, Dross.
Oh, there you go. It's lovely. Yeah.
And in fact, Craig, what is your musical choice for this episode?
It's funny. I'm torn between two lovers, as it were. I was going to pick Jobriath's "I'm a Man" because we were talking about Jobriath, and it's a really kind of pivotal piece of queer music. But what I'm going to do is switch over instead to Nona Hendrix and I think the group's Material. It's Bill Laswell's band. Because Nona's mentioned in Midnight Radio, and some people may not be familiar with her. So it's a song called "Bustin' Out," and it's an incredible, like 80-81 dance track. Kind of like it's really edgy and great, and I think you'll have a good time. It's a hop bop, and you can dance to it.
Oh, I need to listen to that one. I mean, I know the artist, but I have not heard that song.
And one of the reasons why you may not have is because it's one of those ones that was sort of a one-off collaboration. So it was on Z Records, so maybe it wouldn't be on like her collections or her records, and like a one-off single or something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, you know what? I'll be nice. I'm putting both of them on.
Oh, fabulous! Oh, look at that. That's lovely. Thank you.
I can make my own rules. This is my show, damn it.
You're right. You're right. And I just double-checked it is Material. It's Material featuring Nona Hendrix. Yeah.
Well, there we go. My other choice... see, I'm much less deep than you two today. My other choice is the song Pizza Slut
Listen, that's
by
perfect.
the band Pizza Tramp.
Wow.
I mean, how more perfect could you get? It's all about pizza.
It's all in there.
That's right.
Life is about pizza.
It is. You can't get more deep than that. So I say you were. Don't worry. Yeah.
And I was torn as well because originally I do go deep as well. I do.
Sure.
I researched music from Guam.
Wow.
So although heavy metal's not my kind of genre a lot of the time, there was a heavy metal band I found from Guam called Surrender the Thief. And they have a song called Controller, which I quite enjoyed. And I thought that also fit the theme. Hedwig is the controller.
Yes. Nice.
So it fit the theme, and it's from Guam. It's a double whammy.
Right. It ticks all the boxes.
Certainly does.
And a lot of bands I found from Guam were kind of just kind of indie, teetering into an emo-y kind of sound. I was like, that's not my kind of thing. And metal's not either, but at least this was fucking badass. So I went with that. And normally I would do plugs, but you've done your plugs.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
So that's great. It was a natural plug rather than an unnatural plug. So I'll plug myself,
yes.
which I'm sure all the listeners probably know about. Come to speak to me on Facebook at Hedwig's Wicked Little Town. Twitter at Hedwig Pod, which I'm trying to use more. You may notice I wasn't using it much, so I don't have too many people I follow and too many followers because I wasn't tweeting. But now I'm trying to tweet, so join me there. And the main thing I use is Instagram, which is also Hedwig Pod. And there's the aforementioned Patreon, all that shit. And come on to TeePublic. You can buy a T-shirt.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Lovely, lovely T-shirt. And I only get a couple of dollars. It's TeePublic at the end of the day.
Yeah, but it's a lovely design. So
it's lovely. And that artist, Raziel, Mexican artist, he's fucking brilliant. If you hit him up if you need some art doing, he's great. He's taking commissions at the moment, in fact.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah, do speak to him on Instagram. And join me again next time for chapter 18 of Hedwig Inch by Angry Inch. We're gonna be on the streets. We're gonna be hooking, and we're gonna be in that limo, people. So join me on the streets. Bye.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Woo!
I know it's a historical year, but what the fuck are we supposed to do with this year?
On days like this, when the world's a bit a mess, and the lights go down across the USA, I get down, I feel had, I feel on the verge of going mad. And then it's time to punch the clock. I put on some makeup, turn on the tape deck, and put the wig back on my head. Suddenly I miss Midwest midnight checkout queen until I head home maker.
And pull the wig down from the shelf.
Suddenly I missed behind 1963 until I wake up and I turn back to myself. Some girls, they got natural ease. They wear it any way they please. With the French flip curls and perfume magazines. Wear it up, let it down. This is the best way that I've found to be the best you've ever seen. I put on some makeup, turn on the A-track. I'm pulling the wig down from the shelf. Suddenly I'm Farrah Fawcett from TV until I wake up and I've turned back to myself. Jack Fine, Little Bomb, Dovey, Hamel, do sausage curls, chicken wings, and doggy because of you. With your bulldog, feather pack, Tony, homeway do. Flip, roll, fridge, flop, it's all because of you. It's all because of you. It's all because of you. Okay, everyone, it's my favorite part of the video. The time, the sing-along, where you get to sing the songs into the screen and I'll pretend like I hear you. Let's try. Put on some makeup. I've heard better. Turn on the A-track. A-track, how retro. I'm pulling the wig down from the shelf. Wonderful! Suddenly I'm this punk rock star. Staying at 3, and I ain't love. I'm never turning back. Happy Pride, bitches.